Welcome to the Sexy Business Podcast. I'm your host, Karolina.
And I'm Eisve.
And today we decided to talk about the visions. What are the visions? What are our dreams? And how we're getting there?
How you make your vision.
How you make your vision. Exactly.
Yeah. It's a topic that is very familiar to me, and sometimes I realize that I think that everyone has their own vision of life. And we were sitting down with Karolina, and I was like, we need to prepare the vision for our business and so on. And I opened my planner and I started just journaling it out. And she was looking at me and she was like, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I never did a vision before." And I used to do workshops about how to create a vision. So this is something that we spoke a little bit, that you always had aspirations and dreams, but you didn't feel that you moved completely into that.
Yes, that's true.
So when I mentioned to you that we need to craft a vision, what came to your mind, and what do you think a vision is? And yeah.
So first of all, when you mentioned let's do the vision word for a vision idea for our business and things and stuff, for me the vision is is it about my dreams, what I want to do it on my own or with other people and stuff. And to be honest with you, obviously our dreams change over time, but I think we do have some set goals that we want to have achieve in life. And for a business perspective, I've never done that before. I don't think because most of my life I work for someone, I never had my own business and stuff. So for me, it's completely new. Where you, Eisve, you already have those and you know what to expect and what to dream. And it was very funny. We started writing down all the things we want to do, and the difference between my dreams and vision ideas and yours, it was so different because you already had experience and you know where to look for the things. And for me was straight away the idea, okay, I want to write a vision, I want to go big, but is it not too big?
Yeah.
What I'm imagining, you know? So it was really tough. I didn't know how to start my vision idea writing.
And have you ever done the vision for your life? Because usually how the vision workshop works, or work on creating a vision and seeing how things you want to be in life, where you kind of look into every area of your life: health, relationships, family, my career, my business. It would be excuse me, divided into 12 segments and where you want to be. Have you ever created something like that for your personal life?
No. I mean, I had an idea of certain parts that I wanted.
Yeah.
But I think it was too little because my vision, my idea was okay, so I need to have a university degree, I need to have a good job, I want to have family, I want to have a husband, you know, and travel this. But the point was let's say my idea, I want to have a job, a good job. What is a good job for me, Is it something I'm gonna like to do it? Or is it something I'm just gonna work to get money? Am I gonna feel fulfilled? I think my visions are totally crap. If that makes sense. I had a vision, but I don't think any of my visions were completed.
Yeah, and you're very, very right. So let's distinguish. There's vision and there's visualization. So visualization is used by top 1% performers in the world. And if you ever seen elite sports, you probably seen when they close their eyes and before they literally go into arena, they kind of do every movement in the imagination, combining the body. So that's specifically what you said, Karolina. You have a dream of, I want to get a degree and maybe that. But it's so vague that the brain is very powerful. So if you have, for example, you want to get a new car and you know the color, you know how it feels when you sit in your car, you know how the how it sounds when you drive it. You like see it so specifically, you visualize it so specifically that your brain knows like how to find that for you. Because the most important thing when we talk about vision, when we're creating vision, is not to concentrate on the how part. And as you said, a lot of us, we're so scared to go big. For example, okay, I want to build a business. Let's take it as an example. And because I know the how, I will try to kind of like condense and limit myself, because now maybe I don't have the possibilities how to grow it 10 times. But if I create the vision, it's like, okay, this is the team that I want to have. This is the, the elements that I want to launch and so on. I have this vision, and my brain can start looking maybe for mentors, for people that align with that. So when we are creating vision, we have to be very specific.
Okay, so that means, for example, when I had a vision, okay, I want to have a good job, I want to have a job, yeah? I got a simple job.
That's a dream, that's not a vision. A vision is where you go, look, you're like, okay, I want to have a podcast. I want to sit there, talk in my blue jeans and my white top. This is how it feels, this is how it looks, this is how it smells. Like, I have to be so specific that like when my brain finds it, I'm like, this is it. Like, you have to lock it in.
So basically you attract after, once you create that image very specifically, your body and your mind start focusing around and start attracting and looking for it. Okay. So it's the same like people say, I want to buy a red car, and then I walk in the street and I only see the red car. So it's kind of you programming your brain to focus on the things, because it's true. Through the day, we have so many things going on that it's very hard to stick with what we want. But also it's very difficult to draw those steps, no?
So it's not the steps. Forget about the how. Now we're talking about what and why. And the first thing is like, what do I want? Most people get stuck here. And I know that like that's where resistance comes in, and they'll be like, I don't know what I want. Because probably they spent a decade doing things that they hate, which is fine, completely fine. So do this exercise. Grab a piece of paper, write and list everything of what you hate. I hate doing this, I hate doing that, I hate. Like everything that you don't like, that's your starting point. Flip the page, and on the other side, write what is the opposite that you hate.
Wow, that sounds so simple, actually.
Yeah, that's the starting point. So when you have it in reverse, because like maybe your life is filled with everything that you hate, so you can't even see through that, right?
That's true.
And you're like, okay, so this is the pile of things that I hate doing, but I have no idea what I want to do. I have no idea how my big vision for my life would look like. I have no idea how my career or job could look like, because maybe I hate what I'm sitting at. So how can I even dream about something? Because I hate everything that I do daily. So when you listed all the things that you hate on one side of the sheet of paper, you flip it on, and then you write everything that is the opposite thing of what you hate. And it's kind of like a starting point for you just to start understanding what you might like. Because I think as little humans, as kids, we know what we love and we know what we like to do in this world. But as a grown-ups, we start doing what we should, must, have to, and we forget what actually like brings us to life, what keeps us alive, what our hearts like to do. So I think that is a very good essential starting point.
Okay. So coming back to the vision that we both were drawing about our new business, about our podcast, and would you say that there is a limitation of how we can look at this podcast as our vision? So my question, let me sum up my question. So let's say, can my vision be that this podcast is going to be something bigger than the podcast? Can I see this podcast turning into community, turning into more products, more retreats, more things? Or the vision has to be more specific to, I want to do a podcast and my vision should be only related to doing podcast? Or can I add things?
You can add whatever you want to your vision. The thing is, like, how I like to do, when you're crafting it for your business, there are like very specific like fields and niches that we go about. But if you're crafting the vision for your life, you should like put it into, it will depend. People will either split into 8 areas of life or 12 areas of life, but like, how do you want your health look like? How do you want your career to look like? How do you want your relationship with people and friends to look like? How do you want your family to look like? So like you have to kind of specifically describe each area of your life. And what is very important is like how much advance you're looking at, because we always think that we can achieve less in a year, and then we overestimate what we can do in 10. So that's why I always like to say people create it for 5 years, because it's kind of like the middle point between that. And there are also ways how to do it. You can create 3 plans. One is like, okay, this is the most basic plan that like, seems achievable. Then I would say, what would be like my golden plan? Expand a bit more, add things that are like, oh my gosh, I don't think it's doable in 5 years. And then go to platinum, where it's like, this is crazy if I'm gonna achieve that, but like go there.
Wow.
And then check in after 5 years. I used to do visions for many years, and then I would just like start finding pages and I'm like, oh, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this. Because brain is a very powerful tool. And if you use it wise, like it will deliberately like look for things that you ask it to look for.
I really like this idea to have 3 different plans, like this is so cool. I would think that when you're drawing a vision, it's just something one, but it's really actually scary probably to go on the platinum plan, that third one that sounds completely crazy. And from your experience, where do you usually land? First, second, or third? Where most people land in their visions?
Most people, I don't know. Because I have done this experience many times, I maybe learned how to expand myself in certain areas of life. And that's what I mentioned. Like maybe I'm going to be really good in business side, but maybe in other areas I would be limiting myself a bit more, So what I like to do as well throughout the year, I do this like self-assessment exercise. So where I would be listing all the areas that I'm expanding and seeing where I'm at, like out of 10. Like, okay, so maybe like my relationships are at 8. I have amazing friendships. I have this and that, but like I want to improve something in that. And I would be very specific, like how I want to feel, what would be 10 for me that I'm aiming for this year, right? So I would go through each area. And because I have been doing this continuously, obviously, I don't have that many brackets that I try to myself to fit in. But when I see people like crafting their vision, they're going to be like, relationships, 1 sentence. Like it's hard to, because the brain is very creative. But if you have been in a lot of mundane, and if you are in the starting point where you said like, I hate to do what you do, your brain is used to kind of like look for excuses and look for things that you don't like, rather than like, oh, okay, this is my idea and this is where I want to go in 5 years. And it will start like at this instead of like, this. Yeah. Like you would be placing, downsizing everything as much as you can out of like, scarcity, because like, but the rest around me doesn't have it. You would be like kind of like looking into, I don't know, your environment that is here. And obviously, if you're looking for the platinum, the environment that you're sitting in your unupgraded version,
yes,
you won't be in that environment.
You won't be. Okay.
So that's why it's so hard, because like you have to take yourself from here and land there to dream
And to be able
and to
even
envision.
Okay. Okay.
So that's why, like, you know, it's really, really good to have these free plans, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, so this is doable. This is a bit like too much. This is crazy, but like that's the path of like expanding the brain.
Wow. No, I really like that. I need to practice more with the with this planning, you know, because yeah, I think everyone on the first one, well, me for sure, I would stick on the first one more because I feel comfortable, because I would draw this vision. I can do it, you know, because I believe in my skills and stuff. And I'm like, okay, so maybe I can, you know, have this type of relationship, or maybe I can have a house by that year, you know, a bit more, because I know that probably 80% I will be able to achieve it, you know?
Yeah.
Where like say the second plan would be like 50-50, and where the third one would be like, I don't know, 10 out of 90. Because I don't even have the connections yet to be able to reach that one. So I kind of feel more comfortable with the first one, no?
Yes, but that's the thing about vision. And that's the difference. You need to know what you want, why you want it. The how, it's not there.
Okay.
You're sticking to the first version because you're like, oh, okay, but I want this house, but how? I'm like, how is not important. You have to create the vision. You, Karolina, now can't achieve that. So like you will change. You will change your connections, you will change the people that you interact with to get to your platinum. So you now can't define the how. So that's why that's the hardest part, because the grown-up brain is like, oh, okay, but if I want to get from point A to point B, I need to know the road. Yes. But imagine if point B is Mauritius and we don't have modern technology and gadgets, and like I'm like in the old ways, I need to find my way. It means I will need to go into the world and ask and understand the path. So this is kind of like the vision is. It's so far, it's so big that my version of me sitting here today, I don't know how. Maybe I'm gonna find a mentor. Maybe I'm gonna find, you know, business partners that have the skill set that I don't have. But I have this vision. I know that in 5 years, I want, you know, this team in that location. This is what we're doing. This is how it looks. This is how it feels. I wake up. Like, this is really, really good. Start your vision like this. In 5 years, I wake up. What is the mood I wake up? What do I do? Like, am I like grateful for the day? Like, envision your ideal day in 5 years. Like, what is it? I wake up and I smell the ocean. You know, I open my blinds and there's the ocean in front of me. I go for the run in front of the ocean. Then I sit down, meditate. I do my journal pages, have slow mornings for my like breakfast time with family. Then I, you know, start my day, blah, 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 have check-ins with my remote teammates, blah, blah. Like, everything is so concrete that my brain like has that around me, and then like I can start finding the connection points of how.
Yeah. So if you can't envision, you can't expand, you can't attract.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the brain is very addictive. Like, we live in the same pattern. So if you like, oh, I hate my job, I hate this, your brain will be like, oh, okay, she's thinking a lot about that. Must be important. Your brain doesn't have the thing that like, I don't like it, I like it. It doesn't distinguish that. It's just like, okay, she's spending a lot of time on that, so it must be important. Let's loop more of that.
Wow.
And like, it feeds you, you know, like the brain. And like, if we connect it to the universe, you know, like whatever we think about, whatever we speak about, universe is just taking orders. They're like, I hate myself, 5 kilos, you know, and I keep repeating that on the loop. Oh my gosh, I have to take the train every morning. Okay, more of that. But if you're like really concentrate of like, okay, this is my ideal day. Another tip, when you write it down, take your phone and do a voice recording. Record your vision. And in the morning when you brush your teeth, you just press it play. And you brush your teeth and you just like hear it. You can listen throughout the day. So you remind yourself, because like when I'm building new thinking patterns, like it takes time.
It takes time, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that saying? Fake it till you make it. Yeah. So you need to in order to change your mind, you need to remind yourself about it.
Yeah.
Until it starts to believe and feel more that it's becoming achievable. And yes, you're right. That's how you build all that way of change.
Fake until you make it doesn't work. Because if you're believing something yourself that your body doesn't believe in, neurologically you're just gonna reinforce like that self-doubt and misbelief. If you're like saying yourself something that's like complete opposite, you will just like be reinforcing if you like truly don't believe in it. So like expand your truth would be a better saying.
Okay.
Like, if you're already expand your knowing and like your nervous system's ability to have more.
Okay.
But that's another topic.
Okay.
Of us not being able to handle the big life that we dream of. That's where the fears, because vision is one thing, and then like working with inner belief, inner fears is a completely different thing. Because maybe, it all drills down that like, I can't even dream about that life because I'm not good enough to have it.
Yeah,
But that's where the work begins. That's where you're gonna be like, okay, this is my dream life. I have to change in order to have it. How that change is gonna happen depends on you. It's gonna be through therapy, coach, to looking back into myself, understanding, why I'm stopping myself instead of like driving forward, finding that pathway. But yeah, if I don't have the vision, I don't even have my capability and why I want to go to the vision, like why I want to have that life. That's very important.
Well said, Eisve. So to sum up, is vision more important than planning and drawing?
Yeah, vision is way more important than knowing the how, because if I have my vision, there can be like multiple pathways how I'm gonna go there and how it's gonna change. Because for example, like having the business, right? I would plan it out like 90 days and like I wake up and for example, something happened with one of the employee or something happened with the system and like I have to change like things very fast. So the plan is changing. Like even though the plan is so simple as like, okay, losing 5 kilos in 30 days, but the plan can be changed and adjusted depending on like my information that maybe I learned new information. It's not only the gym, it's also like, what I eat. So like I would be like adding more to my plan. But the vision is like, okay, I want a healthy body. I want like this type of business.
It stays the same.
Yeah, so there can be like multiple streamlines, like multiple timelines how I'm gonna get there, depending on like, what resources I'm gonna use. So that's why I'm always saying to people like vision comes first, then it comes planning.
Okay, so let's stick to our visions.
Let's craft it.
And never stop dreaming and following your visions.
Your passions and your path.
Exactly.